Welcome to Mom Boss Chronicles, the show that celebrates the incredible journey of mom bosses who are conquering the world of business and motherhood. We are your hosts, Jen,
Danielle, and Sue.
Make sure to like and subscribe and share with your mom friends today. Welcome back, everyone, to Mom Boss Chronicles. Today, we have a really special interview with Jessica Carroll. She is a serial entrepreneur and business owner, and we're really excited to have her on. She's also an amazing mom of 4. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, So I know you're involved in a lot. You have a lot going on. How do you find the time to do it all?
For me, it's you make time. One of my favorite quotes is, whether you want to, you'll make it happen. If not, you'll make an excuse.
That is so true.
So
yeah.
I really, when people try and get out of wiggle things, out of things, I'm like, they just don't want it bad enough.
Yeah.
So I kind of go by that motto, shall we say.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess, have you followed your intuition throughout your life to get you to where you are?
Yeah, I think when I turned 31, I kind of woke up in my life. I was getting a divorce, and I was just like, this is not really what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this? So it really took a long time to step into that, awareness.
Yeah.
And then I've been honing it in since then.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Did you have like a 9 to 5 or something like that before that? Like when you, kind of
made that change?
When the light bulb came on, like,
Sure.
make a change?
Yeah. So when I grew up, I was always told, get a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Get married,
Get
have kids.
jobs.
Yeah. So that's all I knew. That was my... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
So my mom had me at 16. My dad was 18, and that's the best they knew.
Yeah.
Right.
So I followed the footsteps. I did a little out of whack, but I had a kid, got the house, got the job, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looked different, but I started working in the automotive dealership for many, many years. And then I was dealing with sexual harassment.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
And I didn't know how to handle it because
Yeah.
I was young, a young mom, and
Probably
all
afraid
of
to lose
those
your
things.
job, right?
Yeah, and I didn't know. So I
Yeah.
kept this journal because I'm like, am I dreaming this? Is this really happening? So I would make myself little Post-it notes because I worked at the service desk of this affluent dealership, and I would just write little notes, and I kept this big journal because I'm like, what is this? And so then I went to a lawyer at some point.
Oh, wow.
Because I had it.
Yeah.
There was, just what am I going to do? And she goes, well, you need to wear a wire. And I was like,
Oh, my
a
gosh.
wire? I'm
My
20-something
notes are
years
good enough.
old.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And she's like, and we didn't have the money to hire
Yeah.
someone at that time. And so I just couldn't see it through, and I couldn't keep working there because it
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
weird. And, but what would happen is I'd come in through the service auto entrance every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what was going to happen.
Wow.
I would hear the whistle
Yeah.
from the song Brick House. And I was 20-something, so I didn't even know if it was a good thing or a
Right,
bad thing.
yes.
But I heard the whistle. So all the mechanics would know. They'd all turn around oh, Jessica's here. And I would so.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah. So uncomfortable.
And then I was so young, so I didn't know better.
Yeah.
And they would have me filing in the garage because I was the youngest and I didn't know. I was a service writer. They were using me for everything. And then there was the comment from the shop foreman. And I was like, that's it, I'm done. I can't take any more.
Yeah.
And I gave notice.
Yep.
Good.
Wow.
Well, actually, I think that was probably my last day. I had gone for my annual appointment, and then I got a call from the gynecologist saying I needed to come in. Turns out that I had precancerous cells
All of this.
from HPV.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're like, you either have another kid or let's, have a hysterectomy. So at 28, I was like, I have 4 kids. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
That was my number. And I said, let's just wait till my son's communion and then we'll do it.
Yeah.
And so then I had, the hysterectomy.
Wow, 28.
And then I went looking for jobs.
Wow.
And then I was just in shock. How is it so hard to find a job? I remember going to Target and they're like, well, what do you want? And I'm thinking this amount of money. And they're like, no, we pay half of that.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, how is this going to happen?
Yeah.
What are you talking
I have 4
about?
kids.
Yeah. And I was married at the time. So then I would just go to church every Sunday. And then I would say, if there was ever a position, let me know. And, and finally the priest, Father Bill, who has passed since then, he was like, well, we have this dinner dance committee and the women are all 70 plus and are kind of done with it. So if you can help them and help them in the after school program, let's do it.
That's awesome.
And so, I revamped it. We had, I don't even know, 250 gift baskets. Wow. I had the yellow book and the yellow pages at the time. And I was just like, not cold calling, but like sending letters to everywhere. So I had all of these things coming.
Is that when you realized you had skills? You're like, I have skills.
Yeah, I'm like, I can do this. I don't know what I'm doing. But, things were like coming in and coming in. Yeah. And then I personally invited and we had more attendees than ever. So like everything kind of happened.
Well, yeah. They needed that energy, right? Yeah. Like, because you were hungry, you're driven, and you had the energy and you're like, let's do this.
Yeah. I know the secretary was like, more stamps.
like, yes, we're going to make it big.
Yeah, so it really worked out. And then, through my work with the church and the after school program, it was in Asbury Park. It was a free after school program. And I would see the kids coming in pajamas or this or that. And, at that time I had a small, tiny house in Winnemassa with the 4 kids. And my kids didn't have a lot, but they had a lot more than the kids that I was working with in the kindergarten class. So I'd bring their toys into here. Yeah. And so it was just like another, all right, something else has to be done.
Yeah.
That point, I was doing like party light candles at night. Wow. And I was like, this isn't what I'm passionate about, but I love meeting people and connecting with people. And then I just started sharing my stories. And then I watched the episode of Hoarders. Then I started Organista Home.
When did you start Organista Home?
2011.
Wow. So that's a business.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Was that a scary jump to...
Yeah. I mean, it was. I was like, jump and the net will follow. Yeah. So at that time, I was working at the school and with Sister Jude at Mount Carmel. And she's like, do you think you could organize my office? And I was like, yeah, sure. And she had inherited the principal position from someone else. So, I would be there. And she'd have very little time for me. So I had 5 minutes of hours of work. Okay, what this. And she goes, what you have is a gift. It's not like people don't want to be organized. They just don't know how to do it.
Right. It's so true.
And I was like, you're right. Because, you run a K through 8 school. You teach algebra. You teach, everything. Yeah. I could never do those things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we have give and take.
Yeah.
And then I belonged to this women's networking group called WHIP. It was Women in Power.
That's awesome.
And I had watched an episode of Hoarders, and at the end of each meeting, someone was allowed to, give a question. And I was like, my heart was beating through my chest because I was more introverted at the time. And I was like, does anybody think there's a need for this home organizer thing? And they were like, are you kidding me? And half of them hired me on the spot.
Oh, my God.
So I would do it nights and weekends while I was working at the church.
Wow, so you were hustling.
So, I was just always hustling because for me, I never received child support really for my kids. I still don't.
Jeez.
So it was like work or be homeless.
Yes.
Wow. So I didn't have a choice.
Yep.
You did what you had to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that, I feel like in 2011, that wasn't really a thing yet. So that was such a sweet spot for, a new business. That's a great idea.
Yeah. It was, it was good because, I was able to help the community, help my clients, help the less fortunate. And then I was able to work part-time hours and support our family.
Yeah.
Through the, the tough times. And there was tough times.
Yeah.
And I feel like your kids got to see you working really hard for them. That's beautiful. They got to see their mom doing what she has to do to make sure everybody's okay.
Oh, they're still watching, girl.
Yeah.
It hasn't ended, but
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are your children now?
So I have 18, 19, 22, and 25.
Wow.
So I've been raising them alone for at least the last 15 years.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible.
So, yeah. So, I always hope that one day those, the $65,000 in child support arrears will come my way.
Yeah.
But I doubt it.
Yeah.
But until then, it's all good. It made me stronger.
It definitely did, because I feel like your story just grew from there. So you worked at the church, you did Organista Homes, and you kept going. Right? Yeah. And you wrote a book, right?
Yes. Well, let's see. I went to Haiti for a rescue mission with the church.
Wow.
And we brought stuff. And I was sharing that because I was writing a book with my friend Natalie a long time ago.
About what?
My tales of organizing.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's if you put me in a room at a networking event with everybody else, guess who the people gravitate to me? Because they're like, what? Do you know a hoarder? Do you know this? I have this.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen some crazy things and met some crazy people.
I have. So I would just, me and my friends, who was a better writer, so I would, draft the concepts and she would write them down.
Yeah.
So I put it out to social media. I'm like, does anybody know somebody that could help us with books? And then someone's like, you have to meet Jennifer Young. She's even in Winnemassa too. So like we had this, I reached out to her. She reached out to me. We met, and she's like, "You're doing it all wrong." And we're like, "Oh my God, what do you mean?" So we crafted it, and it didn't wind up panning out the way we thought. But Jen and I became friends.
That's awesome.
And then she asked me to speak at her event in Pennsylvania about my mission trip. So the first time I had a passport was 31.
Wow.
And so I went to Haiti in the middle of the woods, no electricity, no running water. And so she wanted me to share my tales of like barely getting by with my children.
But you did that. Yeah.
Going to Haiti because it was important.
Yeah, that's special.
And so we, I went to Boulder, which was just a couple days ago, actually, like the anniversary. It was like 10 years ago, I think.
Wow.
And then...
and I guess that was like a women's networking empowerment.
Yeah, it was like SOAR.
That's cool.
But it was in Pennsylvania, so it was Boulder.
Yeah.
And so Jen then reached out to me. She's like, I want to bring that, but to the Jersey Shore. Yeah. Will you be my partner? And I'm like, who, me? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I just graduated high school. I had my son at 19. I didn't go to college. I don't have any of this experience. Why, there's 1,000 people how come, And she's like, it's got to be you.
That's awesome. The synergy was there.
It was wild.
Yeah.
So
what year was that?
So we talked about it, probably for 2 years. Okay. And then our first SOAR, which is Seize Opportunity and Rise, was in 2017.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And we had not a dime to our names. And we were looking at spots. And so we walk up to the Avenue, and you know how expensive the Avenue in Long Branch is.
Yeah, beautiful venue on the water. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Yeah. And so we get to the top, and there's the floor-to-ceiling windows, and we're just like, it has to be here. And we're like, how is it going to be here? But, whatever, we're rolling with it.
I feel it, yeah.
And so we just, figured it out, and the guy was like, oh, well, you can, you don't have to pay till 30 days before and all of this stuff. I'm like, well, if we build it, they will come.
Yes.
So we knew it could hold 60 people. We could have vendors. And so when we were talking with this guy, I'm just kind of looking, and I go, I want the dolphin package. And he's like, what's the dolphin package? Like, he wasn't, having fun with me. Yeah. And I was like, I want dolphins frolicking in the ocean while we're having our, our day.
Was he like, okay?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, okay. Like, next.
All right, lady.
So you had this vision. You're like,
I was like, that's what I want. And so Jen and him went into the fine details and all that kind of stuff. And so lo and behold, we sold out every ticket.
That's amazing.
All the vendors. Yeah. We didn't have to put any money out because we didn't really have it.
Yeah.
And
it worked out.
It just worked out.
Yeah.
And so that morning, they have a rooftop terrace. And then we open the doors, women are coming up, and we hear all this commotion. And I'm like, I wasn't the greeter at the door, that was Jen's job. So I was like, what's going on? So I got to go out to the terrace, and there's dolphins frolicking outside.
What a beautiful sign.
What a master manifester.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Crazy, right?
That's amazing.
Yes.
And I had lived here forever, and I've never seen dolphins.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I was just like, oh my goodness.
If you dream it, they will come. That's beautiful.
If you build it, they will come. Yeah. And that wasn't even the cherry on the top. The cherry on the top was there was a whale reaching. Oh, so we had a pot of dolphins.
Right.
We had a whale.
Wow.
I actually have the video of it. So it's just so wild.
Cool. That's
so
awesome.
we open, and I'm just sitting back in my chair like, I manifested whales and dolphins. I manifested whales and dolphins. Yeah. Like, wow. Mm-hmm. So you just never know. Just throwing it out there. Not being ready, doing it anyway, and just trying, you know?
And I think you're so good at that, being a connector and bringing women together.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, because you now work with Jen with a publishing company called Inspired Girl.
Yes.
And you inspire other women through stories, that other women have, which is so amazing.
Yeah, and the Inspired Girl Enterprises, really, Jen started it so long ago. It was a blog. It was Inspired Girl, but it wasn't like being her inspiring people. Mm-hmm. It was being inspired by everyone. Mm-hmm. So the Inspired Girl is her being not vice versa.
Yeah.
So as one of the authors, you inspire us.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, I mean, she's been doing that. I was her first author in 2019.
Wow, that's awesome.
So with the book, She Had No Business. It'll be 5 years in September.
That was a really cool book about your life. That was a memoir about everything you had been through.
Yeah, up until that point. So yeah, and I really share a lot of these stories in the book too. So
which is inspiring.
Yeah,
really cool.
I hope so.
Well, and you're not alone, right? Like, I'm sure there's other moms who have gone through similar, situations that you have in some capacity, especially like raising kids as a single mom. It's fucking hard, and at least you're saying, you know what, it was hard and these were tough times, but I made it. And you can too, or just having someone feel like they're not alone too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there was times like, I could have crawled up in like a fetal position and like never moved.
Right. Like I'm tapping out.
People would understand like, totally. She's been through a lot. Like but you didn't give up.
Yeah, I couldn't. And my parents weren't in a position where they could help us financially. I couldn't have, at the time, rely on my ex-husband at the time. So it was like I had to. I mean, there was one time, the laundry cap that you get from the detergent. And I used to keep spare coins that I would find in the washing machine, in that. And there was one time that was all the money we had. I have all these, 3 kids at the time or whatever. And that was just what we had.
Wow.
And I remember talking to my uncle, my godfather at the time, and he handed me $100 bill. And I thought you would have thought it was like $1,000, $10,000.
You had lottery. Yeah.
So, yeah. So we had been through it. My kids, they knew the struggle, but, it didn't impact them where they were, resentful or upset, But they definitely knew black bags in the minivan, it would slide open, the door would slide open, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I hope nobody sees this, or I have to sit on the black bags again, It was just, that was just our life at the time.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, crazy that you had to go through it alone. Like you said, divorce. So it's not like you even have a partner to lean on where you're going through this.
Yeah.
So you were strong, which is awesome. And then I find it so beautiful that you find strength to empower other people still.
Yeah.
So that's
especially going to Haiti. I mean,
yeah.
Were you frightened going?
Frightened.
I would have.
I would have been too.
Well, my first trip on a plane was when I was 19 after high school. So I went to visit a friend in Florida. And then after the earthquake in Haiti in 2010-ish, in my parish, there was a woman named V, and she was from Haiti, and she would go back. And so that was our connection, because you have a twin parish, they call it in the Catholic Church. So we had the parish there. And so after that hurricane, the earthquake, a guy in our church came to me, and he was an international importer-exporter in the city. And he goes, Jessica, I have a great idea. Will you partner with me? I can get these tents affordably made and, with logos, and we can ship them. So, it would cost like $15. Can you spearhead this with me?
Wow.
So him and I would go to the local churches and talk about it. So we raised a bunch of money.
That's awesome.
And so when we went to give the money, they said, well, we want you to come to see what it did.
Oh, wow.
So at the time, the tents weren't feasible anymore. So it built the foundation of the school.
Okay.
So, so we went, and we were, in the minivan on the way up. And then Don, who travels all over the world, V goes to Haiti back and forth. So it was Don's Korean, Caucasian, V is from Haiti. So they were talking about, if somebody wants your watch, they're just going to use a machete and, chop your arm off. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, really? What did I get myself into? Yeah. But it was fine. And, when I was in Haiti, you couldn't even imagine. They said it's just the reputation that gets spread like wildfire. And you're safe and you're fine. And everybody was so hospitable. I mean, there was no homes.
Yeah.
Wow. So this was a big festival.
You got to see people really living without
anything. Yeah.
God puts things in perspective, right? Like, we think we're having a bad day.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there was one structure that had, a home, if you want to say, with flooring and stuff like that, 2 rooms. And this was a festival of St. Jacques. It was in July. And so the most holy priests and all of the people, they come to this one spot in Benet. And they had given us the rooms. So, the highest priest, everybody, the toppest of the top, and they were sleeping on the gravel grounds in tents.
So you guys could have the room.
So we could have the room.
Wow.
So it's just, puts everything in, such perspective.
Yeah, such generous
people. Yeah. And I remember the funny story. So, I'm used to showering every day, right? So,
that's a luxury we have,
When we flew in, we stayed in the city in Port-au-Prince, which we stayed in a hostel. You had to, draw your own water and all that stuff. So that was fine. There was electricity. But when we went to the mountains, it was a 6-hour ride, 2 flat tires, no paved roads, you know, so it was just wild.
Yeah.
But, so, you know, of course I want to shower. And they're like, okay, well, you need to take, you know, the gallon bucket, drop it into, like, where they collect the rainwater. You can't open your mouth when you're showering.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, is a 5-gallon bucket even, like, you drop down a gallon bucket, put it into a 5. I'm like, can I even, like, bathe in a 5? Like, how do you do this? Is that enough? But, you know, so
Especially
that's what it
heat,
was.
right? I'm sure it's hot there.
Yeah, but I mean, it all worked out. But I'm like, my hair, is that, like, enough? Like, you can't go back because you're already, like, in the stall outside, you know? So it was very interesting. It was very grounding, you know. So it was a beautiful experience. It really was.
Yeah. So I guess giving to the community is super important to you.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Because, you know, there was times when I was working after school program that I didn't know how I was going to swing Christmas.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't know what was going to happen because I was, you know, working at the church and, you know, I had to pay rent. And there was times like at one of Master's school, like they, you know, I was put on the Christmas family list where they like adopted us. Yeah. And then like another time the church, you know, adopted us just to help out.
That's awesome.
And it's all about,
Are you so grateful for that?
Of course, because, you know, when I was living, my first house was in Neptune when I was married. Like, I remember going into the shop, right, getting a couple extra toys to give to the school for, you know, that type of scenario. And, like, here we are, we were receiving.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like, it all, you know, comes ebbs and flows and, you know, things like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's why it's so important to, you know, help when you can.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I definitely believe in that.
That's a lot of times when when I manifest, you know, obviously I want abundance so that I can build, you know, and we're comfortable, but really it's to be a vehicle to help others, right? That are not necessarily in that position. So, you know, appreciate you giving what you had at that time. It's incredible.
Especially to your community, right? Like, we live here and we don't even realize the things that other people are going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you stop and pause and, like, help other people out in a time of need, you never know when you need it back. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, so I started Organized Home in 2011, and I would go to this church in Asbury that had a free thrift shop in the basement. It's since closed, but, like, people could go in and they kind of made it so, like, baby clothes were here, houses
kind of like
here.
shopping. I love
so
that.
like you could kind of
but it was
do.
free.
It was free.
And what it like I know what you mean, like subliminally.
Yeah.
It made you feel like you were actually shopping for these things.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would be donating. So my company has donated over 1 million items to charity.
Do you love being able to do that?
So it's one of my passions, and
Right.
it takes so much longer for me to do what I do. I don't know, Danielle, if you see.
Yes.
I belong to a free Facebook group, so it's another hour worth of work once I get home finished with work.
Yeah.
Just because I want to make sure people that need something can get it.
Yeah.
So, like, I could be like, I'm done, drop it off at Goodwill, and never see it again.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's very important that I find people
The families that truly need it.
So true. You were always posting like the
Dresser,
free stuff,
right?
and
Or
I'm
like a rocking
I've
chair.
thought that
Yeah.
oh my god, that must take so much extra time. I would never
To upload
like,
it,
What's,
yes.
like being honest, I'm like
So
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then the people that don't show up, then I have to follow up.
Yeah,
And, sometimes I'm like, why do I even
I
bother?
know, I
Because
can
it's so much work. But it is like knowing these good things go into the hands of people that really want them.
Well, we were doing a prom dress drive, and you had a lot of prom dresses that you donated, so thank you.
Yeah,
We did that to Red Bank, and a lot of teens, I'm sure, were so grateful to have prom dresses donated.
yeah.
So it's cool that, like, you're like, I got that. Like,
Yeah, I'm like, I got it.
yeah.
Oh, but back to that story. So we never know the level of what people need, right? So this older couple ran that thrift shop in the basement. And so they were telling me the story about they got, someone called and said, you can take everything out of the garage. We're selling the house, or the people passed. I forgot what the story was. And so there was a bunch of the coffee tins, I guess the pound or 5 pounds or whatever, the aluminum when that was a thing.
Yeah.
And they were all empty. So they like, oh, well, let's take them and see what happens. So they were putting them on the shelves in the thrift shop. And next thing you know, those things were flying off the shelves. So they're like, well, what are you going to do? Just curious. What are you going to do with these, these tins? And the people were like, we're going to cook out of them.
Oh.
So, like, here we are. We live right next door in Wanamass or wherever, and this is in Asbury.
Yeah.
These people are using them as,
Oh my gosh.
frying pans or cooking pans or whatever. And it's just like, all right, back up.
Yeah.
Like, my needs are not anything to, like, where we are. So I kind of, like, work that into when I work with clients because, you know, you hear of it, you see of it, but you don't ever know anybody that there's no tangible person.
Right.
So I try and spread awareness. And then, you know, just recently I've gotten 2 new clients that were so passionate about their things going to people that needed them that they hired me out of, you know, all the other organizers that are out there, because I really
take that extra step.
I specialize in purging and decluttering and donating.
Yep.
So, you know, if you want the home edit, I'm not the right fit for you. And I'll tell people, you know, like, oh, I want it color coordinated with these labels. I'm like, I'll give you labels, but they won't look like that, you know, because that's what's, you know, what I'm passionate about.
Right.
So, like, it's just, I don't want to disappoint you.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't help you there, but, you know, anybody else, I could help in different ways.
Yes.
That's cool, because I feel like you said, the Adopt a Family program around Christmas, there's so much around the holidays with adopting families and food drives, but what about the rest of the year?
Yes.
Right now, right?
You just forgotten about, like, the prom dresses. and
summertime clothes.
Right. Do you have a bathing suit? And there's so many kids just down the street in Asbury Park that the only time they eat is when they're at school and they don't see their parents all day because they're out doing drugs or whatever. And it's, you know, whatever the case may be, but you're not thinking about it until the holidays, you know, and that's, it's terrible. Like, I'm not thinking about it until just sitting here next to you.
Yeah, and it's not even in Asbury Park. You'd be shocked. I mean, there's people in every neighborhood that deal with scenarios. You know, it's more prevalent than you'd think.
Yeah.
I mean, the awesome thing is that you do have the opportunity with organizing homes, I guess, to help people repurpose their excess, because I'm guilty of it. I have so much stuff.
Totally.
Right? That I truly don't need, but I'm sure if I think about it, could go to people who truly need it and would appreciate it.
I did do that after my second baby, as soon as she was done with her baby, whatever stage thing it was, I was like, all right, I'm getting rid of this. I'm not having any more babies. And I wanted to make sure I went to someone who actually, like, couldn't afford to buy whatever item it was. Yeah. So, like, on the Facebook group or whatever, you know, I'd say someone who, like, needs a breast pump or whatever, you know?
So you were purposeful about that.
Yeah, because I know there's, you know, that's a tough one because baby stuff is so expensive.
Expensive.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I was just introduced to a new place called Pinwheel Place, and it's an emergency crisis drop-off center. So apparently in all these other states, there's a way, like, if a mom is, like, at her wit's end, she can just drop her child off from newborn to 6. Or, like, if a parent has to go to court or a
like, come back, though. Like, they're not dropping off. Like, I'm not surrendering my child, but at this moment,
like
I cannot.
A night, a couple hours.
That is so important because sometimes like you said, there is a need where it's like, I really have no other help and I need to.
Right.
Instead of leaving my kid alone.
Childcare is crazy expensive.
Yeah.
So that exists?
Yeah, so she just, her and her daughter, it's in Eatontown.
Wow, that's amazing.
And she offers, like, diaper delivery.
Wow.
And so this is, like,
Huge.
a new thing. She's just trying to, you know, promote awareness now. So she came into the women's club. And since then, you know, like, my friends, we just had a birthday brunch. And I said, you know what? This girl's got everything. She doesn't need anything. Everybody bring diapers. Aww. So at brunch, everybody brought diapers, so it looked like a baby shower. Yeah. But, you know, and then we dropped them off. So, like, it's just, you know, there's a lot of people trying to help, trying to get the word out, and it's just spreading awareness, really.
Absolutely.
And you're still involved in the community because you said you belong to a women's group, right, locally?
Yeah, the Women's Club of Asbury Park I just joined.
That's awesome.
And, you know, everybody's invited. I tell everybody, you know, we've already doubled the, you know, attendance. But it's, you know, it's just all about, you know, just joining, showing up. And you never know.
And being inclusive. I feel like, I know for your birthday, you were like, hey, if you would like to come, like, you'll like, say, you include everyone and invite people to celebrate with you.
Sure.
I know for your home, you did mama beads, you invited me. Like, I love it. Like, you just open up your space, your life to other women just to connect and have a good time, like, regardless. So.
Yeah. Well, I remember, so, you know, 31 was a big pivotal year for me in transitioning. So I joined this women's group, which was Women in Power. My friend through the church, Una, she was like, you should really come to this thing. And, you know, I was selling party light candles at night. It was just something to do. You know, it's different. I was trying, you know. And so I showed up. But when I tell you, I, like, cowered in the corner because I didn't even feel like worthy of being in a room of women that were doing this and doing that. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't talk to me. Please don't, like, ask me a question.
Imposter syndrome.
I'm like, I don't deserve to be here. And, you know, through, you know, a few months of showing up, even though it was uncomfortable. And then my friend Natalie, who wasn't my friend at the time, well, like, she was the founder. she was like, we're all going to Watermark for my birthday, you know, come. And so I showed up. And that was like a big deal. And then she had something else.
And that was uncomfortable for you, I'm sure.
And it was uncomfortable.
But you did it.
But I showed up.
Yeah.
And, you know, and she was intimidating. And I'm like, oh my God, this girl, you know. And so now we're like best friends.
That was awesome.
But I remember that invitation. So essentially, like everything that I do all the time, you know, come join me. I'm having a birthday. Like, I don't care. Everybody's invited.
I love that.
And, you know, I'm going for a walk tonight, 7 o'clock, Neptune, join me. Because you just don't know.
Who needs that
Because there's-
companionship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, though, the people that are sitting on the sidelines waiting for the invitation, I've extended it, but you have to say yes.
Yeah.
You have to show up.
For sure.
Because like you said, you were afraid to go.
Yeah.
But you felt the fear. You
Right.
did it anyway. You
Do,
went.
like, do hard things, right?
Yes.
Step outside of your
Comfort
comfort
zone.
zone
And
because
you-
you have no idea what awaits on the other side, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I got a tribe, I got a crew, we're doing cool things
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody's invited.
Yeah.
You know, so I put it out there. So it's just like taking that, you know, that step. So, you know, for the women that are like, oh, I'd love to do this, or well, you have to,
Yeah,
like,
just
I
do it.
Show up.
I have opportunities.
Yeah.
You just have to, you know, I can't make you, but if you come, you'll be so happy. you
Yeah.
did.
I love that. Girl gang.
I know.
Love it.
So you're still doing Organista Homes.
Yes, yes,
Still
yes,
working with Jen on Inspired Girls Publishing.
Yes.
So those are books that you're putting out, fiction, nonfiction.
It's all nonfiction.
Oh, okay.
Inspiring content. Children's books are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Knoll's book just came out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We have Black Swan, the owner of Black Swan, James Avery. He's doing a book now with us.
Very
We
cool.
just got some really big calls. We probably get about 100 submissions a month.
Wow.
But we can only take, you know, maybe 4 to 5 books a year.
Yeah.
So we have to really feel passionately and strongly and compelled by it.
We interviewed Stacy,
So.
and I know you guys are going to be publishing
Yeah.
her book, Searching for Slippers. Mm-hmm. And that was about, you know, raising a child with mental illness. So you guys are putting out stories that totally are relevant and complex. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. And inspiring. I know you have inspired, like all of it, right? No, right of everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just at Netflix at the building
cool.
like 2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, so cool.
So it was Hello Sunshine. It was Netflix.
Was that
and we were
inspiring?
at, Women in Media.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Wow.
Cool.
And you know, there was 150 people. There were like 20 something, 30 somethings, and they were from Disney, Hulu, Fox. Like, it was wild. And we had gifted everyone one of our books, the Red Flags I had repeatedly ignored.
oh, that's a good
So
book.
it was the perfect demographic for that age group.
Yeah.
And Bree, who's one of our authors, one of the women from Love is Blind, the last, Brittany.
Yeah.
She connected with her. She was on her podcast, and Brittany basically told the world that
Oh my gosh.
everybody needs to read this
I
book.
love that book. I read it. That was a good book.
So it, you know,
I'll
it's,
have to check that out.
it's so good. And, you know, the whole thing is it's not like this is my story. This is my story. This is what I learned. This is what I would do next, you know, differently. And
Yeah.
this is, you know, so there's,
And it was entertaining and funny
Yeah.
and serious and like all of it.
yeah,
yeah.
it was, she held nothing back.
Yeah.
So,
That's what it's about, right?
and she's chasing her dream. You know, like she is doing it. She's making these connections. She's hustling because it's not just like here, it's on a silver platter.
yeah.
It's like you got to work for it.
Right.
And Bree is working for it. And so, like, it went into 150 girls, you know, hands in the rooftop of Netflix and Hello Sunshine.
It's
So,
like a ripple effect. You never know
Yeah, oh, totally.
how it ripples out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just being the right time, the right place, and like reaching out. I mean, Jen is constantly behind the scenes working the LinkedIn angle. I don't really do the LinkedIn
Yeah.
angle, so she like heavily works that. I'm more Instagram, Facebook.
And face to face. I feel like you're so
Oh,
good.
in person,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm never home. So.
And you still host SOAR, right? Is that annually?
Yeah, SOAR is now annually, so it'll be in October.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I mean, everybody's like, you know, we can't wait. You know, it was a life-changing event, most people say
Yeah.
to us.
It was
Like,
really incredible.
Yeah.
I went.
Daniela and I have been a couple of times too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll always take away some. I remember Jen Gottlieb was there, and I still
Yeah.
follow her on Instagram, and her story is so cool, and she's so inspiring. Because I
Yeah.
love it. She's herself, and she's like, people have told me when I speak, I should change the way I talk or dress, and she's like, no, but this is me. And I
Yeah.
just love that message too, and she's amazing. So.
Yeah, that
all
was
of it.
an incredible story. I mean, we had Terry Cole there. That was you know, pretty good. Ming was on there. Were you at Ming's?
No.
We were just talking to Danielle.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Ming was at our Freehold
Oh, that's awesome.
So he
you
was
guys,
great.
Yeah, have feature men too.
Yeah, we usually have one. The last couple times, one or two.
That's awesome.
So really inspiring. Greg, A Walk Along the Jersey Shore.
Oh yeah, I love him.
He talked last time.
That's awesome.
His story is dynamo.
Yep,
So,
that's a book that you guys published, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I have that one too. That's a good one. Yeah.
And he's great. He's so supportive. I mean, his story is
Incredible.
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that you're doing that. That's so cool.
Yeah. And you guys are doing this. I mean, that's huge. The podcast, Jenna talked about it many times, and we have not.
Yes.
So you guys are doing it. You know?
And that means Jen and you inspire me, right? Like all of us. Like I see you guys living your truth in your element, and why not? We should live our truth, our passion.
You love it.
100%.
We all inspire
Every
each
time
other.
we walk out of here, I'm like, I'm so proud of
Yeah.
you.
It's like therapy.
Yes, like,
Yeah.
look at us doing our thing. Actually, my friend Blair submitted to you guys. She's, I think, working with
Yes.
Jen on a book.
The children's book, right? Yeah. And
Awesome.
and I wrote a children's book with Inspire Girls. Carter Gets Adopted. And such a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys showed up to the book signing. You've been so supportive along the way. And I love it. I feel the love and like excitement for you guys for my book, and it made me so happy. So.
Aw, well, it's a wonderful book, and you're a wonderful woman.
Thank you.
So how could we not?
And I met you guys by chance. Like in Asbury Park, I met Jen at her husband's like breakfast spot.
Yeah.
So like it's funny how
Yeah.
things in the world just brings you together by chance.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. You know, it's such a small world, and you just got to, remember what you put out is what you're going to get back. So, I just want lots and lots of good karma,
1,000%.
So,
Be kind.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, thank you for your beautiful story.
Aw,
Where can
thanks
people
for
find
having
you? If people want to
Sure.
follow you?
Jessica Varian Carroll on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, but I'm not really using it. Inspire Girl Enterprises, Organista Home. I mean, I can keep going.
Yeah,
so,
we'll link all of these, and then also I'll definitely want to make sure that that we put out the Facebook group that you mentioned as well, because I'm sure a lot of people can benefit.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. We'd be honored. And we miss Jen,
I know.
Wish she was here. We'll
Jennifer
have to do
Young.
It.
Yeah,
We'll do it again.
Yes, your other publisher. But thank you for that awesome story. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening.
Thank you.
Make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day.
Take care.